Here we are at Overton Square in Memphis with Judge Joe Brown. So, Judge, he just had some admirers. They wanted their picture with him, and he gave them some law advice. They were in law school, actually, so he gave them some great advice. Judge, what do you make of the announcement by President Trump today that he wants to send in the National Guard with the approval of the Democrat mayor and the Republican governor? What do you think of this?
They need to send it in. The Republican governor is not doing too well in his popularity these days. The Democrat mayor is trying to maintain a grip on a little deal that he put together when he was running downtown development with some other people. See, you know, Trump is properly against DEI and all of that other stuff. But there is a decrepit downtown hotel that represents a major international hotel chain that when the current mayor, Paul Young, was over downtown development, they got a contract for that's close to $220 million that the city is paying to develop the reconstruction and renovation of that hotel property. Now, it says on their website that they have an 18.7 minority set aside. And when Young got the previous mayor Strickland to put the $220-some million in that, there's some federal funds involved, and that's not, shall we say, kosher with the current administration.
So are you saying there's been political pressure put on the Democrat mayor to get him to agree to let the National Guard come to town?
He doesn't want too much attention because this is probably one of the most corrupt cities in the United States when it comes to official corruption. That's one of the reasons the crime problem's so bad. How are you going to expect the streets to be safe when the biggest crooks may be down in City Hall? Now, there's another thing, too. The company says 18.7% minority set aside, but the mayor is saying it's only 15%, so there's 3.7. Yes, 3.7%. That's $220 million. You might also consider right downtown, just in back of the Peabody, there is a 25-acre cleared parcel, it's grass, and the grass is cut right across from the Redbird Stadium. That property was sold to a developer for a ridiculously low amount, and there's $200+ million the city is committed to financing the development for that place too. So you might want to check and see who gets it. Now,
so you're saying the Trump administration or someone on the ground is maybe informed the Trump administration about some of this, and some of this could be being used to say, hey, I think you, mayor, and folks in the city government there might want to let me come on in, and you guys should be excited about it and telling everybody you want it.
Because crime's out of control. Our mayor goes to a place like Folks Folly, but he's got 6 to 8 cops in uniform that are his bodyguards. Myself, former congressman, former mayors of this city, we walk amongst the people and everybody greets us, but the current mayor is afraid of the people he represents. He can't talk to them. Now, see, we've been trying to push something around here, which is using the Tennessee constitutional carry provisions to allow the citizenry to set up a citizen militia where they get cooperated with by the sheriff's department, the police and the sheriff's department open up these firing ranges again that got closed down some years ago, train the citizens, teach them the law, organize them, have communication protocols, use some communication equipment so the citizens don't feel helpless and they get an opportunity to get out and be involved in making their community safe.
Are we one of the few states that allows for that?
One of the growing number of states that allows constitutional carry.
But I mean the setting up of the militia.
We haven't done that yet, but we could under Tennessee law. Now, some of the things that are going wrong here, like Elon Musk is setting up this XAI, and it is a very important thing because Memphis is centrally located in terms of national distribution. It is the distribution capital of the U.S.
With FedEx here.
UPS is here. The bulk mail center is here. And everything flows through Memphis. And this little rinky-dink airport we have has the largest commercial tonnage in the whole world, and Hong Kong is about second behind it. There's an opportunity to use what is here to open up a world center and make Memphis what in effect would be the Silicon Valley for the 21st century. But these petty clowns we have here, I call them our local yokels, don't understand that. And it's too much what am I getting here? Like, there are some of the pop politicians that if you go check them out, you will find that they are getting contributed to by some of the people that they nominally attacked. It's called followthemoney.org. Followthemoney.org.
I'm aware of that.
All right, and it will tell you who's getting what and what for. Now, Musk is trying to donate an $87 million water purification plant to the city of Memphis. He jumped ahead of everything by making his application for a permit a year before he had to. He got issued that. There are some people that are lying through their little bribe-seeking teeth about Musk operation is, shall we say, causing pollution, but there's never been a study. And
because he set up some generators or turbines or something.
Turbines, but
yeah.
There's no finding because there is no EPA report. That's a tale. And as a matter of fact, our current mayor had been talking about they were going to have an EPA evaluation done in 2 weeks, which got extended to another 2 weeks, and it hasn't been done. So our Justin is here pontificating about the evils of it, but Boxtown is a hellhole. It's filthy. The streets are filled with potholes. There's extremely low employment there. The per capita income is ridiculous. The crime rate is ridiculous. And on that island, there's even a refinery that's been there for decades that is contributing to the pollution. So Musk's operation is not doing that, but somebody's trying to
imply that he is.
Yes. So that is holding the whole area back, and we don't need that. This could be big. This place has been renovated. It used to be Overton Square, and there were different businesses around here when I first got here 50 years ago. There was a TGI Fridays over there, an Italian restaurant next door. This used to be a steakhouse and an amusement center down here at the end of this block. There was a hotel everybody used to go to buffets to across the street. But it's gone downhill. But now, what is happening here in Memphis is something very insidious. Some of the locals were talking about making this a sanctuary city. Why? Because Blue Oval...
The Ford plant over...
Not Ford. Blue Oval is a South Korean corporation, just like Hyundai. And you remember the mess down here with the Hyundai plant where ICE came in and got... Well, what's going on is Blue Oval is supposed to be hiring close to 30,000 employees. 15,000 of them, according to the company, have already been hired, but they're South Korean nationals.
Oh, wow.
So they're trying to bring them over here. And a lot of what's happening with the decay of the infrastructure is because there is a shunt line from Memphis going out to Mason, which has 5,200 people, that goes back almost 40 years. And in 1997, Memphis passed a referendum that said Memphis Light, Gas, and Water cannot enter into a new contract out of this area, and that's a pre-existing one. So Blue Oval wants to wipe out Mason and bring in 30,000 new employees, most of whom will be foreign.
Oh, wow.
So that means bringing in 3.5 people per family. You're talking about 100-some thousand people. And when you get in Malco, Mickey D's, and everything else that they need to do what they need to do, you're talking about 220,000 people in a city that Memphis is going to have to finance the shunt line for the sewage and the water out there to operate a 30,000 man factory, plus another 200-some thousand in the city, which will probably be about the 4th largest urban area in Tennessee. So there are some people that are just salivating in anticipation of the contracts they're going to get, and a lot of that is what's going on down here. we have a thing right down this street here. If you go down far enough, it's what used to be Nathan Bedford Forest Park.
Yes.
Tammy Sawyer and Van Turner, who were on the county commission, they introduced an act so that Van Turner's corporation could buy that park for $1,000, no bid. The city of Memphis has been upkeeping that park, and then the hospital complex down there wants to rent that out for quite a bit. You might want to inquire whose brother got the contract to take down Nathan Bedford, who got paid how much to store it, where the statue from that location is now, and also down here at the Metal Museum on the bluff, who came up, same two individuals, with selling that property to somebody who was actively on the county commission that sponsored the legislation. His corporation got to buy that park for $1,000. And they also have something, and I'll call it green space. And green space is chartered to operate city and county parks. They're trying to get an agreement with the city and the county to operate all of the parks in the area. And that would include right down the way here, where you are going to get the Liberty Bowl changed into a soccer arena for previous mayor set it up for $700 million, and build the new football arena for allegedly $3.5 billion, trying to get the Tennessee Titans in here. And if you go down where I just left on Elvis Presley, where the Presley Mansion is, it looks like a minefield with the potholes. And you see, this is what's going on in this city. One of the reasons it is so crime-ridden is because too many of the resources that should be devoted to this city are being under the table corrupted and misapplied and misappropriated.
What about unfunded, how about jobs for police officers that are...
There are quite a few, several hundred actually, funded positions that are not filled. And one of the problems with the police department and the sheriff's department, it is out of the control of the chief administrators for both entities, is that some of the street gangs have infiltrated those departments. Ooh. That's why you have such a high homicide rate down here for pretrial detention, which is 10, 12 times the total that came out of there in the last 40 years.
And that's because of why?
Because you have street gangs infiltrated. People turn a blind eye because Brother Jamal has a girlfriend who's related to this guy, and this person's a deputy jailer, or you go and you find the police, and there's some fine young men, but a lot of them will tell you, I'm not going down there, that's not my posse, I'm not going to die for that kind of crap. So
are you saying basically the criminals, whether they're in an elected position or the criminals on the street, are running
you got
the town?
Folks downtown. They need to audit this whole place. Now, I started this when I was on the criminal bench 30 years ago. Grand juries under Tennessee law have the authority to audit all activity conducted by all state, county, or city entities within their district. This is the 30th Judicial District, and it's contiguous with Shelby County. It was shocking what we discovered. For example, the county put in all of the phone system that was used at the penal farm, the juvenile detention facilities, and so on, but they turned it over to somebody to give them 4% of the net. And when I had the grand jury look into it, this was circa 94, 95, the net profit was $94 million. And we were only getting 4%. This guy didn't even have an office. He had a secretary who collected the checks from, I think it was now AT&T, but it was Bell South then. So
this was for people to make phone calls that are in the jails to pay for them.
So they're collect calls. So the phone company collected and sent a check, which should have gone to the people. Now it's operated out of Texas, but the next year it went up to $112 million was the net profit, and this guy got 4% that he sent to the city. See, that kind of thing is going on. You drive down Riverside Drive and you see Beale Street Landing, that grass-covered hillock.
Right.
Well, somebody put up $35 million of the city money to finance the development of that, and the guy was supposed to operate a gift shop, bar, and a grill.
Right.
So he bailed, and nobody went after him, so the city's got a white elephant they can't do anything with because...
That's right there on the river there.
Right there on the river. And the city can't operate a bar. So we've got that.
So what you're saying is every time we turn around, there's just misappropriation of funds.
Exactly. And somebody...
And so instead of the money going to fight crime, it's going for projects that ends up being, greasing somebody's hand, and that money's gone, it's wasted, and they tell us they need to raise taxes to fight crime, but what they need really to do is stop the political corruption and the greasing of palms and spend the money on fighting crime.
And then the vote situation is horrible here. It's corrupt. Back in 2008, the U.S. Department of Justice put up the money to replace all of the voting machines. They were deballed voting machines because they had been found to be corrupt since 2000. And the Department of Justice issued quarterly reports from that point on, every quarter, and it says, once again, Memphis is not capable of conducting a fair and a legitimate election. So this county did not put the money out there and spend it until 3 years ago, and then they kept the machines in the warehouse for a year and a half. So when I voted the last time, I personally witnessed 2 people vote twice.
Oh, wow.
You're supposed to be separated, but they had people sitting right next to each other if they decided to exercise the option of filling in their ballots rather than having a computer do it for them. So nobody has any way of authenticating those ballots, and people just drop them in. So if you want to cheat, you come in and you just have some pre-printed ballots when the polls close, and you run them through the machine, and there's no way to tell which are legit and what's not. And
so you agree with President Trump, we need to go to paper one day, voting paper only?
Well, yeah. We have to do something. But even that's not immune from cheating because, remember, they used to stuff ballot boxes. And Errol Ford Sr. got elected the first time as congressman. He was Democrat, but that was in 1974.
Is it his nephew that's the one that's on Fox News?
I don't know.
That young Ford, yeah.
That stuff anymore anyway. But what happened is in 1974, it was all paper. They were showing that he was losing to the incumbent who was named Kirkendall. So Ford went down there, almost got himself arrested when he literally kicked down a barricade and found all of these boxes of paper ballots that were hidden. So that's not unknown. And then I was with an individual this last November 2024, and I was representing a lady who's running for Congress as a Republican, fine lady, and we're down there and they've got a problem at the Maine Election Commission. You know what it is?
What?
They have more votes that are cast at certain precincts than people signed in to vote, so they were trying to figure out.
So more votes than voters?
Yeah. So watching them scurry around.
Let's go back to fighting the crime. We have been looking and reading reports that the Sinaloa cartel is here in Memphis and many other cities, and they're getting their precursor chemicals from China. Judge Janine just did a big bust and showed all these precursor chemicals that came from China through Mexico that she seized. Is that one reason you think he's bringing the National Guard in here, is to deal with the international drug cartels as well?
The drug cartels are interesting. A lot of guns come in illegally through Memphis, but the crates of illicit firearms come in with the kilos of illicit drugs. One of the things that is not checked is this thing that actually offers trade opportunity to this area. In Europe, they have these specialized containers that they use to load trucks, planes, trains, barges, and the barges are floated down the canals and estuaries to the Mediterranean, where they are put on board these ocean-going barge transports. If you're ever in New Orleans and you go down to the port, you'll see these things that look like 1,000-foot long streamlined oil tankers. Those are barge transports. So when they get there, they drop the rear hatch, float them out, they get a tow, which takes about 30 days to get from New Orleans to Memphis. Nobody runs them through customs until they get to Memphis. So all during this 1 month long journey up the Mississippi River, they get met by packet boats, commissary boats, mail, and everything else. And there's a back and forth exchange on whatever is on those barges, and nobody's looking.
And that could be everything from guns to drugs.
Well, worse than that.
How about
ammonium nitrate? That is a very effective, long pulse explosive, and the military uses it as explosive, the explosive in 155 millimeter howitzer shells. So it is also the most common fertilizer in the United States. So you have tons of ammonium nitrate being shipped up that river on barges, and it's 1.5 times more powerful per pound than dynamite. So if you've got 8,000 tons worth of ammonium nitrate, that's just 4 barges. You get 6 of them, and you've got the explosive equivalent, non-nuclear, to what they dropped on Hiroshima in World War II.
And surely the Islamists, terrorists, Al-Qaeda, others are aware of this, right?
I'm sure they are. But you see, you know where it's particularly hazardous? You get up here to Vicksburg, they've got an upslope from the southern portion of the Mississippi River that goes up to Vicksburg. If you detonate this off, even if it's non-nuclear, or you can make it dirty if you wanted to. So,
a dirty bomb, nuclear dirty bomb.
But you don't have to. You still have the explosive equivalent of what they dropped on the first one in Japan, which was 16 kilotons. So that goes right up that ramp, and you wipe out Vicksburg, Mississippi. And nobody's checking. This place has got amazing potential, but it's also a trap for the unwary.
What about all the cars that are constantly being stolen? Are these being put on cargo containers and shipped overseas somewhere?
We have another problem. A woman who is the county clerk is being scapegoated. She's done her homework. She had to go to paper audits because the computers were hacked, and she discovered that $28 million had been taken, and it went through the county mayor's office, who wrote a letter along with another somebody up in Nashville that they took it, because what's the problem? We've been doing it. But see, also there were several thousand license plates that disappeared, but they have been tracked through one of the mayor's offices, and those license plates are now showing up in interstate commerce on stolen vehicles. So there's all kinds of criminality going on.
What about sex trafficking? How big of a problem is that here?
That is a big problem here. I know from 45 years ago, well, I represented a lot of pimps and whores here.
As an attorney?
As an attorney. And
we're talking politicians or pimps and whores?
I'm talking about real pimps and whores.
I know.
And they charged them a lot of times with what they charged Diddy with, because a lot of them were over here in West Memphis, Arkansas. So they would bring them from West Memphis over here, or from where they had that series P Valley down in Mississippi. So that was not an uncommon criminal offense back then. But there are a lot of these kind of things going on here, and they never did particularly clean this up.
So let me ask you, it sounds like what President Trump, that we need to send this interview to him, and that President Trump and his administration, and I know one or two of the White House attorneys, it sounds like Memphis, and I'm sure there are other cities, but Memphis needs more than National Guard. It sounds like Memphis needs to have the FBI and the DOJ in here, and we have a lot of people that need to be questioned.
That's certainly correct. This place needs an audit. They had a sting operation about 20-some years ago, maybe a little longer than that, called Tennessee Waltz.
I remember that.
They need to have a Memphis boogie. This is a very bad place, and it is bad for what this town could be. This could be the Chicago for the 21st century. This could be the Silicon Valley for the 21st century.
They've said it could be like the Dixie Digital, right? Like Silicon Valley.
But see, there's another aspect too. We have a thing now with energy production. You've got a very high water velocity down here where the Mississippi River curves around Memphis. You've got 220-foot deep channels. There is no reason you cannot take modular hydroelectric generators like they use in Africa and Asia, which usually swing to and fro with the tides. But the Mississippi River runs 24/7 in the same direction. You don't need concrete emplacement, so you don't need any dams. All you need is some wharves, docks like you have down here with the small boat harbor. You could put several thousand of these generators in there, and instead of Memphis buying energy from TVA, it could sell energy to TVA and disperse this energy from all the way from Little Rock to Chicago to Atlanta.
Which would help a lot of people because our utility bills here are going up.
It's ridiculous.
Well, I know they're going up all over the country, but we're talking Memphis. So you're saying we could get our utility bills down to next to nothing, our energy bills.
Yeah, and make a profit out of it. And the other thing, too, part of the reason our utilities are so bad, I mean, I hate to take the dog out for a walk. One of them might pee on the sidewalk and everything breaks down. But one of the reasons is because the infrastructure has been allowed to decay because the money's going to something else. There is an opportunity for the people in the construction and development industries to get billions into their bank accounts in about 5 years. Remember, it's just 2.5 more years before Blue Oval is supposed to start operating up here in Mason. So when they start bringing in the relatives and everybody, you need some.
But the infrastructure isn't going here because the money is going to corruption.
Yeah, that's right.
And the police aren't fighting the crime because the money is going to corruption. So everything comes down to corruption.
That's right.
So the real criminals they should be going after isn't just the drug gangs, it's the politicians. Is that what I'm hearing? Those are the real criminals?
Yes.
Because those real criminals that you're talking about enable the street criminals, do they not?
Yes. See, this is actually, I handled a lot of capital murder cases as a defense lawyer. I used to train the capital defense team for the public defender's office. And hell, I used to run the public defender's office back in the 1970s. My partner after that ran it when it switched over to the county. And then my partner who became mayor, A.C. Wharton, ran the public defender's office. I know it. One of the things that we have right here is that Memphis is the first-degree murder capital of the United States. There are so many homicides that are disguised as unfortunate incidents. There was a barbecue place here. Everybody loved it. Hell, I did. I know I did. It was a problem. They used to close at 2 o'clock every night, but the cash register would close up 7:30 or 8. They were laundering money, and that's one of the businesses here. You can go down on Beale Street and find that as well. And something went funny, but the proprietor of the place turned up dead one Wednesday night, early in the morning, one-car wreck on I-55 near Shelby Drive. Thursday, his general manager turned up dead, same circumstances, and Friday, his chief accountant. Oh, horrible coincidence. How tragic. See, that goes on.
How about you? Aren't you worried?
No. They tried to get me when I was on the James Earl Ray case, but it was exciting.
Let's switch to that, by the way, in closing. Charlie Kirk, murdered, assassinated on September 10th. I thought about you, and I talked about you on the air because you did, as a judge, the James Earl Ray case. And so you talked about the rifles that the FBI had that went missing.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what that's about. Let's summarize the story. James Earl Ray's Remington 760 Game Master, a pump-action rifle, is not the murder weapon. The murder weapon, at least the item that fired the fatal bullet they removed from King, had a rate of rifling twist of 1 turn in every 11 1/4 inches. His rifle had a turn rate of 1 in every 10 inches. The Army Marksmanship Unit had made 63 barrels that matched his specification, made 62 rifles on invoice. The FBI, late December 1967, got 5 of these rifles. By the end of April 68, the Justice Department ordered the FBI to return these rifles. They claimed they lost one when they did the inventory. The serial number is the one that's missing out of the previous 4, and that was supplied on the invoice. Also 5,000 rounds of the special custom ammunition that is consistent with what they killed King with. The last I checked in terms of the studies we were doing was that Hoover had one of his people. Hoover knew about it, and he had 2 Marine snipers recruited from Quantico, which is right across the tarmac, about from here, a couple of blocks down from the FBI training academy. They fired the fatal shot from the fire station, not the flop house, and not from the bushes. In fact, if you go in the flop house now, which the Lorraine Motel Museum has acquired, it says it could not be fired because the window wouldn't go up far enough to do that. And the bushes were right below that, and if anybody was supposed to be shooting from the bushes, they would have been quite visible from Main Street from a distance about here across the street for several hours. So there is an officer, Reddick, who was on overwatch. Reddick ran for sheriff up here in, I believe it was Haywood County. And Reddick gave us the story that he refused to remove himself. He got hog-tied, feet tied with a rope and double handcuffed, and they removed him from the scene because he refused to leave.
They didn't need they didn't want him there to see what was about to happen.
No, they didn't want him there to see. And the whole thing about the delay and the dinner for King, that's not the story. We got a statement from the lady in question, and that reverend's wife said, "I'd fixed it. I'm mad because I have to make gravy because everything is drying out." They kept postponing it. And when you look at the timelines, there's some interesting things going on. So that's one thing that's unsolved.
And yet the shooters came from the top of the firehouse. So I ask all that because you and I have done an interview extensively on that. And then you have the questions about Bobby Kennedy, right? And we just, of course, we have President Kennedy. And now we have this weird situation with Charlie Kirk. And there's a lot of questions flying, and maybe we'll get them answered, maybe we won't. But what are your initial thoughts on this, based on your background? That's why I wanted to bring up your background.
I think it was a pro operation because it was too clumsy. But from what I've been reading, the shot was fired from about 200 meters away. Any good old boy from the south or west who does deer hunting can take that shot because that's just average for deer hunting.
With a scope.
Yeah, about 200 meters, and everything's scoped now. So 200 meters is not big. You're talking about a target, the triangle like this, but when you're shooting a deer, you're trying to get his heart or the arterial complex along with his lungs, and you're shooting at something like that from 200 meters. So that's an easy shot. That was not a difficult shot. There are people in this town, old guys, young guys, can take that shot all day long.
So you think it is what it is?
I think there is some unofficial support for it, and one thing that I noticed in all of these homicide cases that I represented people on was that sometimes you can set something up because you know it's likely to happen and you ignore it.
So you're saying that this kid may have had help?
he may have been ignored. I think that's what happened with Trump, is they knew what was going on and they just turned a blind eye to it and hoped it happened. It would solve a lot of problems.
Wow.
But he missed.
Yeah, he did, thankfully. Hey, Judge Joe Brown.
And by the way, I'll help out the president if he wants to talk to me. I have some ideas about what to do with this crime situation.
Well, we're going to send this to the White House. We know people there. We're going to send this. Judge, you have your own podcast, your own broadcast. How can people hear it?
Okay, that's with The Real Dana, and it's on Monday and Thursday. It's called Injustice for All on Thursday and Man Up on Monday. And on Tuesday, we do X Space at around 9 Central.
So just put in Judge Joe Brown into X and you'll find it.
Yes.
How about your barbecue sauce? Tell me about that before I let you go.
Oh, that's great stuff. It's been winning a lot of contests. It's called Judge Joe Brown Barbecue. So just take the initials, JJB, Judge Joe Brown, barbecue, BBQ.com. Go to the website. You can find it. And one of the people that's collaborating with me is one of Beyonce's personal chefs, Chef Damon. And we are also available on Amazon, which I think is the easiest way to get it because they'll deliver in 2 days.
Absolutely.
Free shipping. Now, this is something that's 45 years old, and it started way back 1980. There used to be a barbecue team called Porkus MD, and we'd go down to the river for the contest, so it's placed a bit.
Yep, it's good stuff, folks. It really is. Thank you, Judge. We appreciate it.
And take back your town. There is no excuse for America to have flaunted morality, dignity, and a sense of purpose and a causality to your life. Too much of this victimization has been going on. It's very nasty. One of the things I did when I was on the criminal bench, let me conclude with this, is I drastically reduced the statewide recidivism rate. What was the secret? You get the defendants to man up or woman up, and you give them a purpose and a cause, so when they looked in the mirror every morning, they had some reason to exist. Soldiers will go through tremendous hardship if they feel that they have a cause they're fighting for. But when you take the average person, based on the Democratic Party prognostications and pontifications, you have no purpose except to enjoy yourself. And most of these people don't have the wherewithal to really enjoy themselves, so they aren't committed to any purpose and cause, and they die. So give them something to live for.
I agree with that. Judge Joe Brown, folks. We'll be right back.
All right.